This is the bane of my software existence. Hello and welcome to another episode of Come Internet with me. I'm the JMO and this is a web show with a gentle premise, browsing the web together. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. And as always, you can support the show and find links to the things that we visit today and more at comeinternetwith.me. So today's guest is someone that I have known on the internet for a very long time, and we've just spoken for the first time ever, not 10 minutes ago before we started recording. So it kind of feels to me like I'm speaking to a little bit of a celebrity, certainly in my life. But if you've got 100,000, well, nearly 100,000 TikTok subscribers, then probably are a celebrity. Oh, look at that. There you are. So TX Watson, about Watson. TX Watson is a 31 plus or minus 1 year old artist and writer living in Hampshire County, Massachusetts. Watson graduated from Hampshire County in 2018, where they studied political art and philosophy from an anti-capitalist perspective. The most important work of TX's vast amount of material that they've put online over the years is the Mimetic Engines of Anti-Capitalism project, which explored the ways that complex systems such as corporations act as agents in a manner that can't be reduced to the agency of their constituent humans, and proposed strategies for fighting capitalist power structures that are informed by this understanding. Watson makes TikToks about philosophy and the norms and habits of academia. They're published in the anthology Some Vault Stories of Solarpunk and Eco-Speculation, and they are a regular program participant in Massachusetts Sci-Fi and Fantasy Literature Convention ReaderCon. TX Watson, please come internet with me.
Hey.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of me being a celebrity, I will count myself there when I beat out the autocorrect of the murderer on Google results for my name.
It works on Google, but not on Ecosia. So that's your next mission.
Yeah. You know, people ask me every once in a while, people ask me whether I named myself after Tex Watson.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I didn't. I was not into murderers enough as a teenager to know who that was when I picked my name.
It just happened to be, something that fell out of the decision when you picked your name.
Yeah, I'd already bought the URL by the time I found out.
My name comes from being really into Pokemon.
Oh?
I used to be in a band, and when we were on tour, I was playing Pokemon all the time. So I was called JMO after like Slowpoke, or you know what I mean. Like it's a Pokemon sounding name.
It does sound like a Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah, so then I became the JMO, and we used to call everyone in the band like Ian Mo and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the story of the JMO. Well, do you have a topic?
Yeah, I didn't. It occurred to me like an hour before this that I should have thought about this more than an hour before. So I went on the humanities shitposting Discord that one of my friends set up, and I just like asked, does anybody have something that would be fun to Google? Nobody did, because everybody like me on that server has ADHD, and so when they think of something to Google, they either Google it or forget. But during that conversation, I did manage to remember something I have meant to Google, the Zettelkasten method.
Well, hopefully spell check is going to...
Oh, I can spell it for you. I have it written down on my desk.
Cool.
Zettel.
Zettel.
Kasten, and then method in English.
Well, here we go. I'm going to start with Wikipedia, as is traditional, and see what we can see. The Zettelkasten, or Slipbox, is a knowledge management and note-taking method used in research and study. A Zettelkasten consists of many individual notes with ideas and short pieces of information that are taken down as they occur or are acquired. These notes are numbered hierarchically, so new notes may be inserted at the appropriate place and contain metadata to allow the note taker to associate notes with one another. For example, right. Creating and using a Zettelkasten is made easier by taking notes down digitally and using appropriate knowledge management software. Sure. But it can be and has been done using paper and index cards. The method not only allows a researcher to store and retrieve information related to their research, sure. Let's just have a look at that physical one there. In the form of paper index cards and boxes, the Zettelkasten has long been used in individual researchers and organizations to manage information. Included, we notice that it's a specialized form of library catalog. Pioneered by Konrad Gessner in 1516, 1568. Okay, so this is like old formalized knowledge management, huh?
I had no idea it was that old.
Zeman built up a Zettelkasten of some 90,000 index cards for his research and credited it for enabling his extraordinary prolific writing, including 70 books and 400 scholarly articles. That guy was a sociologist, sorry, Nicholas Luhmann. I don't think I read his name out. His index cards were digitized and made available online in 2019. That's reference 4. We should have a look at that online library. Probably be in German though. Luhmann described the Zettelkasten as part of his research into systems theory. Right. Right, there's a translation of that as well. Let's have a look at the physical. Oh dear, let me just move that.
I don't know what you just moved, but you've got the window focused on the window, not the like whole screen. So I can't see other things that you're moving around on top of the Wikipedia page.
Huh. What about now?
Nope, nothing comes up.
Technical problems.
I can see the Zettelkasten.
Cool. All right, we're back up and running. That is an interesting, what do you think? I mean, it just looks like a card library, but I'm really glad that digital stuff exists.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see if I didn't have a first point, if I didn't have a computer, I would definitely want to be trying to implement a system like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Second point, this system seems like the physical version of a wiki. Third point, I have been trying for years to find a wiki that is a good solution for just my personal notebook, and I cannot find one.
Maybe we should talk about that in a little while. We should keep doing the deep dive on this. One of the reasons of using browsers that aren't Google means you don't get Google Translate. Here is the English version. I'm not going to read all this out, but I'm going to just scroll down and see what we can see. A piece of empirical sociology, my slipbox or index card file. For generalizations or research that also applies to other cases, we need problems, concepts, and whenever possible, theories. For both of us, that is myself and my slipbox, it's interesting how there's like such a relationship between them in this essay already. You know, like this is my, I guess it's, what's the term that they call it in building a second brain? Building an external brain, I think is like whatever they call it.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I do, like, it does make me think of M. Alfer's project, the prosthetic memory.
I haven't heard of that actually. Let me just open that up as well. Roboculture? No.
Yeah, I don't know if that's about M's project in particular. If you search blink pop shift, all one word, and like just like add that to the prosthetic memory search.
I have been following. How do you say her name? Is it Emil? It's Emily.
Yeah, just M.
Just M. I've been pronouncing her name wrong.
Hmm?
I've been pronouncing her name wrong I've been following them for years.
Yeah, they're on TikTok.
Oh, really? I mean, I'm not on TikTok, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my the podcast that I did about TikTok a couple of weeks ago, but it's just like an algorithm. I mean, yeah, it's
I have not seen that podcast.
It's all
yet.
about taste. I'll send it to you if you want after this. It's
Please
basically
do.
just an engine for people to practice discernment. Like the moment of discernment when you're browsing in a shop, like in a consumerist sense, this discernment of between one thing and another, or when you're like hopping through channels on, like, in the old world of having cable, the pleasure is in the discernment of what it is that you want to watch. And so TikTok's feed is essentially like a thing that satisfies you because you're discerning exactly what is the content that you want to watch and what you want, which is how they're sorting. That's basically the 5 minutes.
I visited my parents the other day, and I was talking to my nephew about TikTok, and he shouldn't be on TikTok. He's not old enough, but he saw a video that really pissed him off, and I like called him over and was like, "Hey, I want to teach you something. If you go to if you hit the button for like sharing, it pulls up a menu. One of the options there is not interested. When something just makes you really mad, you should go and hit the not interested button, because when you watch all of something because it pissed you off, and then if you comment on it because you're angry about it, that's telling TikTok this is a kind of thing you engage with, so it's going to show you more of it, and that's just going to make the app more upsetting."
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that should be. I sound like such an old man. That's the sort of thing that they should teach in schools.
No, it absolutely is, and I think people are starting to understand that. I definitely see at least a lot of professional content creators talking about curating your feed. And I think it is absolutely something that needs to be taught as a life skill, and I think it probably will be in not too long.
I mean, coming from
at
Europe,
most 10 years, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, as someone who's coming in Europe, where we have slightly more sane rules around data protection and stuff like that, I honestly think it won't be very long until, if you have an algorithm, a company will an algorithm. I mean, we're using this word in a very expansive sense, but if you have a feed or you have a UX that delivers content to you, I reckon we're not very far away from companies having to publish what's the word? How to train your algorithm rather than how to train your dragon, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just this is how it works. If you don't like something, or you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I think that would be a great thing to do. And actually, I am going to toss that in the note file I set up earlier, because I want to bring that up with the Online Creators Association as something to ask TikTok to do.
Well, I'm glad that I had something to add. So I'm still scrolling through this essay, but here we go. I mean, I know we're going to end up looking at Rome research or other methods of that, but so a Zettelkasten system has the possibility of arbitrary internal branching. We do not need to add notes at the end, but we can connect them anywhere, even to a particular word or in the middle of a continuous sentence, which sounds like Rome search. Possibility of linking. I'm not going to.
Oh, slip refers to the pieces of paper.
Yes.
I was thinking slip as in slipstream, as in a way of referring to the space in between things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely one of the slips.
That's a less cool explanation. I will definitely mean it the other way if I make a slip box.
Yeah. The disadvantage of arbitrary internal branching is that an originally continuous text is often broken up by hundreds of intermediate slips, which is basically hypertext. Possibility of linking. Sure, you can have links that don't go anywhere. I mean, this method is old. Should we have a look to see what the influence is on this influence on software design?
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely, like, to a certain extent, it like saying it's like hypertext is a little recursive, because hypertext was designed to simulate the like mechanics of academic texts.
Yeah.
But it is like funny looking at hypertext, or like looking at older academic texts, just how many things have been invented in other academic texts to try and simulate the functionality of hypertext.
Yeah.
And then how badly we are implementing that as a way to create knowledge webs in the present.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree there. Let's have a look. Influence on software. Someone's got a
I mean, I think Wikipedia is kind of nailing it, but everybody else isn't.
Wikipedia has its drawbacks, but that's mainly due like the way that they manage the data that's on like the community side of it.
Yeah, I think there are definitely many bad things to say about Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is the best platform at using the internet, what the internet was supposed to be for.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I can't really see.
Oh, except maybe GitHub, which I just saw in the list.
True, but then again, GitHub has become a centralized database when really it should be everyone hosting their own Gits.
I also know far less about GitHub than Wikipedia. I am not a coder.
Speculate. Well, that looks cool. Let's have a look at this stuff. Zettelkasten. It's like getting things done for writing. So here's why you should consider it. I stumbled across Zettelkasten note-taking process while watching Beck Tench's helpful Tinderbox series. Don't really want to play video on this, but we can go check that out. Yes, Zettelkasten sounds like a complicated German philosophical text, but it means box of notes. Okay, this is actually better than the other list. Notes are atomic. Each note should hold a single bit of information. It could be a paragraph or a couple of sentences. Each note has a home. Every note has a distinct home in the filing system, so you can easily find it when you need it. Luhmann didn't believe in arranging his notes topically because that could limit the note's usefulness. A guinea pig is a pet or an experiment or food. That's a bit harsh. Once you start thinking of a guinea pig in one context, it's hard to see it in any other. That's really good, and that also comes back to it being atomic.
Also, guinea pigs are, like, I think in the country they originate in, they were like a food. Like,
yeah,
they are a cuisine item.
A cuisine, yeah. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so. Each note has a name and a unique ID.
That was a gross eating animal. It's not gross eating an animal I don't like.
yeah. In a blanket, gross eating animals. Each note has a name. Notes linked to other notes, like modern hypertext. Cross-reference keywords. Kept a cross-reference guide to important keywords for each of his notes. If you wanted to find information about pets, I really want to. Why Zettelkasten is important for writers of all stripes to consider was thinking and writing for Luhmann, thinking and writing is inextricably linked. I agree there personally. He thought any type of research, study, or deep thought was a form of writing. Taking comprehensive notes, organizing them, and then relating them to other notes was a form of writing and contemplation. It's much the same way as Dave Allen Green's getting things done method of productivity can be boiled down to 5 simple actions: capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage. Zettelkasten method could be summed up in a handful of activities. These are collect, process, cross-reference, and use. That's very interesting. Zettelkasten aims to create a kind of external intelligence that you can converse with and get surprisingly useful answers in return. As a result of extensive work with this technique, as a kind of secondary memory will arise, an alter ego with whom we can constantly communicate. It proves to be similar to our own memory in that it does have a thoroughly constructed order of its entirety, not hierarchy, and most certainly no linear structure like a book. Just because of this, it gets its own life independent of its author. Very interesting. What do we have over here?
It's the kind of thing that it's hard to imagine. It's hard to think of just a shelf of paper notes as being uniquely like conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start to understand just how much its behavior can begin to resemble consciousness, it really makes you doubt the legitimacy of your own consciousness.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the lack of consciousness in other things as well. So this person uses the Zettelkasten method and Tinderbox, which looks like a piece of software. This is a very in-depth video. So playing videos on this is not very well advised. Reading habits, putting it all together. Collector's fallacy. It's really strange that that search about Zettelkasten influence on software didn't really bring up that many results.
I mean, it seems like it might.
It seems like it, you know.
It seems kind of like the sort of thing where it might just be so obvious that the internet was just making a.
Oh no, you've crashed.
Oh dear.
So, you were saying about how it does seem really obvious that this was like had an influence on.
Yeah, like it reminds me of Turing machines. Like Alan Turing didn't physically make a Turing machine. He just conceptually invented it. And it was like, okay, yeah, this is the correct answer for how computers work.
Yeah.
This seems like just sometime in the 1500s, somebody correctly answered the question, how does hypertext work? And then it just took a while for somebody to make it in a computer.
I'm going to go back to this. Zettelkasten influence on software design. Note taking, hypertext and coherence. This looks interesting. Hypertext per se does not favor coherence. In fact, it accommodates incoherence very well. That is one of the reasons why it's good for note taking, where you often have no idea what it is that you're going to argue for or what claims you're actually be supported by the notes being collected. It's very much like using index cards. On the other hand, hypertext per se does not hinder or prevent coherence either. You can order and reorder the information according to various criteria. Sure. The beauty of hypertextual note-taking is that it actually does not favor any particular coherent structure and facilitates reordering or rethinking the notes in accordance with different criteria of goals. Put differently, hypertext does not per se differentiate between signal and noise. What is signal in one context may just be noise in another. Yes. The lack of cognitive overhead is still one of the reasons why I find applications like Zettelkasten, applications, less useful as a desktop wiki like connected text. The main way of connecting information into the Zettelkasten program is keywords, which necessitate a decision about what is important and what is unimportant when you enter the information. So that, I guess, is like when you have a note-taking program and it asks you to tag stuff.
I do definitely think that it would be cool to have like a wiki-like software that just like lets you take notes in it and just assumes that anytime you've used a given word, it wants you to link, it like automatically makes that word a link back to like a disambiguation page for that word.
Now, I'm just going to do it because I actually haven't looked at this at all because okay, Rome research. I'm also going to look for Rome research, and I'm going to also add the word Zettelkasten.
All right.
To
what
all
is
my
Rome
friends.
research? I didn't see where you got that.
It's called Rome research. It's a thing that I know about.
Oh, so this is
all
just
of
you
my
bringing
friends.
in your own stuff.
Yeah, all of my friends have been using it. But there's a forum discussion there is far more results about Rome research in Zettelkasten than it's a tool. It is a tool for Zettelkasten style work. On the other hand, it brings its own conventions to the table. Basic approach has been a journal containing each lines as the atomic units of meaning. So it's lines rather than individual words. But then again, the Zettelkasten method was a single card. So that's interesting. Using double bracket search.
That seems sort of like atoms. Like I'm thinking about like atomic unit, just like as a metaphor. Like we refer to atoms by their atomic number, which refers to the number of the number of protons or neutrons, or the number of one of the things in them. But there are 3 things in them, and there's actually like more to an atom than just that number. So I think like the word is the like referent that like sort of makes this a like that uniquely identifies that atom, but the atom consists of a whole sentence.
But the which I guess is the same again, because the Zettelkasten said it had a unique ID number for every single one. What I'm actually going to do before we dive into this is all over the place. Why not? Zettelkasten images. Right. What's this? Is there any of these pictures that you want to explore?
I mean, yes, in the sense that I would love to be in one of these libraries.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, does look just like the library from my university.
Yeah, I think I saw like somewhere there was just like a line that said or suggested that the Dewey Decimal System is a Zettelkasten.
That's not how you spell decimal.
Google will fix it. Or Ecosia.
That's a really, really good title for a blog post.
You want to check it out?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do actually. Let's have a look. Just because the pun is great. Dewey or don't we?
I was thinking genrefication sounds like a concept. Sounds like a concept I would be interested in.
Yep. 20 years ago, teaching the most widely used library classification system was unimaginable. Today, we are still teaching children the Dewey Decimal System. This is one of our most viewed. Okay, sure. So we know that librarians are creating lesson plans, scavenger hunts, and games to teach Dewey. However, we have grown too comfortable with this 143-year-old system. As we adapt to new library technologies and building out the 21st century learner programs, is Dewey falling short of a modern library's needs? Yes. Let's have a look. Genrefication. We've seen librarians make drastic changes to their library in recent years, including using the bookstore method, known as genrefication. Interesting. Genrefying your library means arranging the library collection by category, subject, and genre to help patrons find books that fit their interests. Librarians are on both ends of the spectrum. There are those who are eager adopters of genrefication and those who are happy with Dewey's system. To keep Dewey Decimal or to switch to genrefication depends on your patrons. If you are contemplating whether or not to genrefy your library collection, the pros and cons list is a perfect opportunity. So, advantages: aid literacy and discovery. Librarians who've genrefied their library collections don't do so on a whim. They do so with a goal in mind. Common goal is to increase reading literacy. Yep, by making them easier to find, improving circulation and efficiency. Despite efforts to keep their library collections as close to Dewey standards as possible, most librarians have some inconsistencies. Disparities to Dewey are a result of librarians trying to match the right books to the right students and improve circulation. I bet sometimes that some books that are on like particular courses that are all on the same reading list probably end up like in very similar places, like, you know, as decisions made by. Library genrefication has loose parameters. Each librarian who genrefies the library will do so based on the needs of their students, collection, and curriculum. Drawbacks: organization. enables students to become stuck in one genre. Sticking to one genre can limit student learning. Yeah, because they just want to read. But the same as when you go into a bookstore. Well, I don't think I looked outside of a sci-fi aisle in a bookshop when as a teenager. Don't think I looked anywhere else. Maybe history.
Yeah. But working in a bookstore did a lot for broadening my interest.
Yeah.
Outside
Same.
of the one shelf I liked to look at. Just because shelving books,
you just come across them
so
all
many
the time.
opportunities to see things. They're just like,
oh, what is this? This looks cool.
Occasionally, that looks amazing. I really want to read it. More often, what the fuck? I need to read that.
Yeah, or the other. What the hell is this? When I used to work in a bookshop around 2006 through to 2008, I guess, which I would consider, especially in the UK, that's probably the end of high street bookshops before Amazon took over, because we still had like book clubs on TV and that kind of stuff. It was all the big 3 for 2 books like on the door. And yeah, it was a good time to work in a bookshop, that's for sure. And then well, maybe not if you were running the I used to work for Borders, so
Oh, me too. I worked at Borders when they went out of business.
What was your store number? Mine was like 456 or something.
Oh, I don't remember. It was in a mall in New Hampshire. Do
you remember the Bink? Do you still remember how to read a Bink code? Or did you not? Did they not have the stickers on the back?
They had the stickers. I don't remember. The thing that I really vividly remember is just that, like, for the last few months, when they were liquidating, the prices like went down like every week.
Books,
and our boss let us like each take one cardboard box and hide books in it.
Yep. And then the last day,
and then just
get them for a cent each or something.
Yeah. And I think I actually had 2 or 3 boxes because my boss was really nice. And I only just like a couple months ago, this was like a decade ago that I went out of business. A couple months ago, I went through those boxes and like got rid of a lot of them because I'm never ever gonna read them.
Yeah. I know that feeling for sure. Library standards, pushback from library. All right, we'll just go back to this. Genre selection, time and effort. Gentrification isn't genrefication, not gentrification. This isn't it simple. It will require time and energy. Have you ever did you ever go to or do a store opening?
No.
Like that was one of the most, I can imagine like shifting an entire library around is obviously it's literally the same amount of physical effort as like opening a massive bookstore. Yeah, there was like, like 24 hours a day, 3 shifts of people like stocking shelves, basically.
Yeah, I remember there was a store opening near me when I was working there, and some of the people who had cars were like called away to like go and do shifts there.
Yeah.
And they'd come back and be like, yeah, I like they'd be working a double where they like were there overnight and then they came in to do the opening shift at our store, and they were like, yeah, no, I can't move my arms. You need to do all of the shelving today.
Yeah. That's so bad. I guess they could have gone and picked books and take them away though. Genrefication is pretty great. What? That's a weird thing. So Wikipedia's preview says that it's really great. It allows people to find books they're interested in more easily.
Oh, this is the Wiktionary page.
Oh, it's Wiktionary. But even then, it doesn't actually show up.
Yeah, that is weird that the preview has text that's not. No, because the discussion and citations page are both red, so that means there's no page there.
History. Yeah, it's got to be in the history. Let's have a look.
No, there are no entries where anybody removed bytes.
Oh, yeah. You see, this is the sort of thing that I get up to when I'm browsing on the internet. I don't know if it's the same thing as you. You're just like, where's this weird thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's bizarre. But yeah, no, I do spend a lot of time checking the particularly talk pages on Wikipedia pages. Like if I'm trying to like actually like if I'm trying to figure out how people feel about something, like
Yeah.
is this a controversial topic? The Wikipedia page controversy section will not tell you very much. The talk page will tell you that there is a war about this.
Yep. Do you think like that is like a level of media literacy? I mean, obviously, like it's not just us that do it, but there, like, what is there a name for that kind of behavior where you're?
Yeah, I mean, I think media literacy, internet literacy.
Yeah, internet literacy is probably a better word.
Yeah, actually, I've been talking to some people on TikTok. There's a thing that I've wanted to do for a long time, which is just do like a research stream where just like set up a Twitch channel where I like do the research that I'm going to be doing anyway, but do it live on a stream so that people can see what researching looks like.
Yeah.
Because there are so many little skills that nobody ever actually teaches you, that you just sort of have to figure out or
someone shows
stumble
you
on
how
a
they do
blog
it.
post, or or like at some point an upperclassman pulls you aside and explains that you don't have to be doing it as difficultly as you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that I really need to make a TikTok about this, but reading academic texts is so different from reading like fiction texts or like literary texts, and we're really only taught how to handle literary texts in like grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most important things about that is like the author chose every word on purpose. Like all of the text is important, and like, you know, you need to eliminate all useless words. So like when you read a text, you should expect that the author meant for every single word to be there and be meaningful, and you should be getting a different thing from it. And academic texts just say the same thing over and over and over and over again. And the point of that is like, it's just like you're supposed to be able to skip stuff. You're supposed to, like, if you don't understand what the first sentence in the paragraph is trying to say, then you keep reading that paragraph to get the author's additional clarifications.
Yeah.
But if you do understand it, you can sort of skim to make sure that they're not saying, actually, I meant something that is not your understanding. But like mostly you can skim that paragraph because you got it, because the paragraph is supposed to contain one idea and then detailed explanation of that idea. And if nobody teaches you that, then when you're reading like a dense academic text that does that, it makes you feel crazy, because every sentence is supposed to mean a different thing, but the last 4 sentences seem like they all mean the same thing.
How do you think this actually came up recently in a conversation that I was having with a friend about, you know, like what's the best way of putting it? Art speak. Like art world, academic art world writing. Mm-hmm. And about how there is something to be said about writing that is very clear, but at the same time, writing that is very clear from the point of view of an author leaves all of the interpretation up to the reader. Whereas academic writing is very much like, as you explain, like, here is the idea, and then I have to restate it in certain formulations, so you actually understand let's say the edges of the idea that I'm trying to discuss. And
like, I've used all of these words in this sentence to construct this idea, and now I need to explain to you the connotations that I'm coming to all of those words from, so that you don't come away thinking that by bird I meant a type of avian creature.
And one of the things that, like, it's very popular, that's like, I mean, everyone talks, like, in my group of friends anyway, in the UK, like, art speak, however, kind of is the kind of writing that actually trips over itself and just becomes kind of like spirals out of control with caveats and, you know, and just like caveats and what's the word? Confirmations about something you've said before. And the reason that everyone generally agrees is because of poorly translated Deleuze and Gujarati in the early 90s. found their way into the academy, essentially, and everyone was like, "Oh well, we should totally write it like this."
Well, I think that so I've recently been watching a bunch of videos by the Chicago writing grad program professor, the Chicago University. I forget what it was called, but I'll send you a link later. But the he teaches writing for academics principally, and he teaches writing like to be a effective writer, not just to be like an artist. And I think it's really powerful and important and valuable. And one of the things he talks about, particularly when he's teaching academics, is like you're dealing with, and the Zettelkasten thing talked about this, is that you're dealing with ideas that are complicated enough that you can't hold them all in your head at once. So you are going to be writing as a mechanism, as a method of thinking. But writing as a method of thinking is not the same thing as writing as a method of communicating. And like in the drafting process, when you're like converting your manuscript into something that somebody else should be able to read, you need to be changing your like approach, and like you need to be understanding that as like, I am not just polishing this text, I am translating it out of my brain into communication.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think that was probably the thing that I experienced. The thing that was the hardest thing as an undergraduate, like all those many years ago, like was actually learning how to do that, because like I'd been taught how to write an essay at school, you know, whatever it was, the introduction or hypothesis, or you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's the introduction, then you do the exposition and blah, blah, blah. And then whatever it is, where you argue against it.
They teach you the shape of the article, but they don't teach you why it's written that way. They don't teach you how to read them. Like there's like the 5-paragraph essay thing where it's like you say what you're going to argue, and then you argue it, and then you say what you argued. And nobody ever explains to you that like the point of that is so that if you're like writing for a field that there are people who are experts in that field, somebody who's already an expert in the field can look at that article, read the first paragraph, and decide whether they need to read the rest of it. Because if it's like, yeah, I already agree with the conclusion you plan to get to, and all of the things you said you're going to use to get there make sense to me.
Yeah, that's why the abstract, you just read the abstract, right?
Yeah, you need the abstract to check whether you need to read the article.
Yeah.
And then like if there's anything in that that makes you go, huh? Then you go and read the whole explanation.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm going to have a look at Rome research, because let me just, I'm just going to share my screen again. I thought it would be better if we were talking full screen. There we go. So sell me on it, Rome. Sell me. A note-taking tool for a network thought. As easy to use a document, as powerful as a graph database, Rome helps you organize your research for the long haul. I woke up groggy, did a meditation. So this is like notes. Oh, so it does do individual words.
Okay, so this looks like WorkFlowy, but with hypertext.
Yeah.
Which actually, I think WorkFlowy just added hypertext, so I might just be able to use WorkFlowy for this.
Lots of people have been going on about this, about how much they love it, basically. It's the most exciting piece of software I've tried yet. I don't know any of these people.
Oh, it costs money.
$15 a month. Up to 3 private or public Rome graphs, unlimited. So that's it. That's all you get. That's all they're selling you on, basically. I mean, it looks very much like that Zettelkasten thing, but that's it. That's all they tell you about it. Rome white paper.
It does look like this is approximately the same thing as WorkFlowy. And that is, I think, cheaper and has a free trial.
I think Rome had a free trial as well. But I haven't ever used WorkFlowy. That's all you get on WorkFlowy.
Weird.
Blog about. Log in. Wow. Really selling yourself there.
That's is there a oh, there's a demo button.
Oh, what on the website?
Yeah, on the lower right there.
Oh, yep. I see it.
I might send them an email about doing a better job of selling themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, we literally just doing some consumer research or some research right there, you know?
Hey, I talked about you on a podcast and we couldn't figure out how to look at the product.
Yeah. Expand the work bullet. Zoom in work by clicking the bullet. Oh, okay. Write down 2 projects. Hit tab to indent. Hello. Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. And I take it that I can click on projects and get to a new page.
Yeah.
And words, so hashtagged words then become linked objects as well, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's cool. Have you ever seen Notion?
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's go for a third tool. Why not? While we're here. So this is the one I use, Notion, and it's very similar to both of those. It does very similar things where you can link individual atomic cards together. But it basically also does like project management. It's Notion. Here we go. Read more. Maybe I should search Notion app. Huh. Ecosia is such a different experience, like in terms of the results that it gives you. I mean, I guess there's the official website. I click on it there. Let's see what Notion's homepage looks like. The all-in-one workspace.
Yeah, see, they tell you what it is and show you what it looks like on the
This
front
is what
page.
I was expecting. Yeah, from WorkFlowy and from Rome, really. Yeah, so Notion does like, this is the same information where maybe they should be showing you the same information, but it does it. You can view it as cards in a Kanban board, or it can show you in a list, like a spreadsheet with tags. And you can also view it as individual pages and see it as if it was like a wiki, basically.
Yeah.
And everything, and those views change dynamically.
That does sound great. How much does this cost?
It's free for individual users.
Oh.
If you want to invite someone to look at a page or collaborate, that's when you need to. But it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap.
I might switch to Notion.
Notion, you should hit me up. I've put it into 3 companies. Web app. Yeah, you can try it. So they have a web app. Yeah. Yeah, so Notion is very similar.
Do they have an Android app?
Yeah. And it's pretty fast as well. Yeah, you see, even Rome's website just doesn't sell me on it. Even though it's. So we were going to look for the word Zettelkasten in Rome's. No, they don't mention it at all. Isn't that interesting? GTD.
What about Slipbox?
No. Wow. I mean, it's very interesting that like these things are obviously being like reinvented. So this is one of Lumen's slip cards.
I'm like trying to read them. They're in German, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And handwritten. Who can read handwriting anymore? But yeah, so obviously these are the numbers.
The handwriting is why it was hard for me to tell that it was German.
That's it. The German secret to a super organized life from 2 days ago. effective index. I wonder if, oh, look, Rome Research is in this article. Huh. So it's a popular browser-based app. So say the archive, the granddaddy of digital Zettelkasten. The archive is a plain text note-taking app for Mac OS built by people behind Zettelkasten.e. The archive automatically assigns a unique ID, blah, blah, blah. Every note that you create, you can also add a title to your note. Obsidian, the new kid on the block. Let's have a look at this. It's our fourth external brain tool that we're looking at. A second brain for you forever. Obsidian is a powerful knowledge base that works on top of a local folder of plain text markdown files. I like that it's offline.
I like that it's markdown. I don't like that it doesn't sound like it would be accessible from my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Notion works with markdown as well. I'm not sure about Rome Research. Does Rome do I mean, this is what I like about this page is that it actually shows that you can see this exploded view.
Yeah,
like in their marketing.
I always feel like the exploded view sounds like a good idea. Every time I've ever tried to implement it, it's a nightmare. Like I feel like that's a really good marketing image. I don't think that's going to be a useful feature.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, I guess like growing up when I was a teenager, I was like super into mind maps, but being really dyslexic, like that was the thing that they told me to like how to plan. And
yeah, I've also never really been able to use mind maps in a useful way. So this might just be like a difference in the way our brains work.
Yeah, totally. Because I would be like, if I had this in Notion, then I could be like, oh yeah, because like what it's useful for is revealing all of the links inside this article that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I linked to that or whatever. Because you could, maybe it's just because I'm quite visual in my memory. Like when I if I have a bookmark in a book, or when you're like, oh yeah, there's a thing in that book, and I know that I bookmarked it, but in my head I'll know that it's on the right hand page 2/3 of the way through the book.
I do get that, yeah.
In my brain. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I don't know where, like I've definitely had the experience of like, I don't know where in the book this takes place, but when it takes place, it's on the right page and it's near the top.
Yeah.
So just flipping through every page, looking for some of the words in it.
And then you're like, oh yeah, here it is. It's actually like a quarter of the way down the page or something. Yeah. I'm glad that it's not just. I wonder how common that is. I wonder how other people like remember where stuff is in books.
That would be an interesting survey to do.
I had a teacher at school who was someone who had a full like eidetic memory, and he would be like page 172 of whatever book, and then start just like reciting it basically, and then like the person who was on the back of the class would like pull it out the bookshelf and then find it and then carry on reading from where he stopped, and you just be like, imagine remembering everything you've ever read. It would be useful, but there's so much really bad fan fiction that I've read that I probably didn't need to remember.
Yeah, and my feeling is like it seems like it sounds like it would be more useful than it is.
Yeah.
Or it seems like it should be more useful than I feel like it would be, because like it's basic, like you still have to consciously reference the memory. Like it's not like it's just a passive awareness of all information you've ever acquired. It's just that your bookshelf is closer.
Yeah. And I wonder if people like that, I've got a lot of friends who are really into building memory palaces at the moment. And like
I tried to do that. I don't have a space that I remember well enough.
Fair enough. I mean, I wonder actually like whether with the Zettelkasten, or actually let's just generally talk about wikis and kind of information for a moment. Like you do actually feel that they begin to get a bit spatial, because I remember when I was at work and I ended up building a wiki that was about 2,500 pages of individual pages. It was literally how to use a piece of software that was undocumented. and had been around for about 10 years. So it had loads of features, but was completely undocumented about
Yikes.
what everything did. So I literally sat there for, it took me months. I just sat there and wrote it all down. But I do actually remember, and this is one of the things that I've been talking about recently as well, about, I've been talking about the somatic experience of software. Like, how does software make you feel when you use it? And I do actually kind of feel that when I was putting wikis together, you would get these like, there's like grooves that have more and more like as the pages have more and more stuff linked to them, instead of them being like a big node, they were more like a groove that was in a, like in the side of the mountain sort of thing. Like, and just the way that I kind of experientially was using the wiki, if I was in somewhere that had like, let's say, high traffic because it had a lot of links to it, I'd be like deep in the groove of that particular piece of information. I don't know. Like, do you ever experience anything like that when you're using software, or like when you've got like, you know, note-taking software and stuff?
Yeah, I often experience a sort of frustration when like the number of relationships to a thing begins to exceed 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Because like most of the methods that I have for dealing with this, and this is why I want like a good desktop or good private wiki, is that like the methods that I have to hand mostly don't handle like n-dimensional feature space as well when n exceeds 4.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I totally understand how that works. Like, it's very difficult. So I actually was talking about this yesterday on the podcast that I put out yesterday, about how when you use a multi-dimensional database, at least for me, like when you write SQL code to take all of the different tables of information and then join them, whether it's a left join or a right join or, you know, whatever, and you're literally like manipulating planes of multi-dimensional planes in order to be able to get to the answer that you want. When you're thinking about it and looking where all the information is and trying to figure out how you get that information into where it is, it feels like imagining a platonic solid, like a pyramid, and then rotating it in your mind's eye. To me, that's what it feels like when you're working with like n-dimensional data structures. You're kind of like trying to visualize it all and twist it, and you know, and look.
And the trouble is, you can't once the dimensions exceed like spatial dimensions.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're already you in a multi-dimensional, in an SQL database, you've already exceeded those number of dimensions. And if you're in a no SQL database, it's 5-dimensional rather than like, which is a little bit to get your head around. But like the process of like spinning those things around, for me, is the same way. It's like, manipulating all of these different planes of information to get them to go together to that one page. You should definitely try out Notion though, because I think you might get on with that, because you can publish pages as well, which might be useful for you.
You said there was like a small monthly fee for like being able to collaborate.
I think it's
Do other people have to be logged in to collaborate with a thing?
So I think that anybody, last time I looked at the pricing, because I've only been using it with Teams, but last time I looked at the pricing, I think you can let people view or like collaborate, but they can't become full members. I think you can invite them to be part of your team or something like that.
Because like something I would like to be able to do is like grab a page, just send a link to everybody in a Zoom call, and they can all just open it and type in it without having to like set up an account.
I think they would have to set up an account in that case. I don't think you can have an open document like that with Notion. But if you've done it once, then, you know, like everyone's already going to have a login.
Yeah, but then the trouble with that is I have to convince like 8 people in a Zoom call that it's a good idea to set up an account on this particular piece of productivity software.
Yeah.
And selling people on a new productivity software usually doesn't go well, because most people are not nerds about productivity software.
Yeah, that is also something that's been my experience.
Most people experience the opportunity cost of lost time learning about a new program as a cost rather than a fun activity.
Yep, I've been through so many in my life. I was really into TiddlyWiki. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I
That was
haven't.
it was like a really small it was a small piece of JavaScript that you basically dragged into your browser, and it would open up a personal wiki for you, and you could just have it. And I used to carry it around on a USB stick. I was like really into TiddlyWiki for a really long time. And then I had a personal full-on media wiki, like hosted.
Yeah, I tried to set up a personal media wiki on a website, like on a web. So I had web hosting, and I had my site set up on it, and my friend also had their business set up on it. And I tried to like set up a subdomain on my website that I installed MediaWiki on, and I managed to somehow corrupt all of the everything hosted in that account.
Nice. That's like a typical like home gamer self-hosting story.
Yeah, I think I lost about 5 years of blogs for about another 3 years. Eventually, I learned enough about computers to go through the corrupted files and like run a search and replace that would just like extract all of the actual content and put it into a database that it wasn't broken.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really good. Well, we're coming up on an hour of recording. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to Internet with me today. And if people want to go have a look at all the cool stuff you're doing, where should they go?
The best place to find me is TikTok at TXWatson. You can also find me on Twitter. I don't do much there, but on Twitter, I'm at TXWatson. A good place to follow me to keep up with what I'm doing in general is Patreon at TXWatson. And by the way, you can follow Patreon accounts without paying for them. And if that person does public posts, you'll get those in your feed. That's a useful thing to know. A lot of artists do public posts to keep people informed about what they're doing, even if they're not paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I have the best place to look to find just everything about me would be my link tree at linktr.ee/txwatson, which has all of those links and several more.
Awesome. Everyone should go be a patron. I am, and so should you. Yeah, thanks very much for coming Internet with me. That was really fun.
Thanks for having me. I'd love to do this again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. We should definitely speak again.